Hello and welcome to the Life in General podcast. My name is Nick.
And I'm Ian. I don't know. That's the best I can come up with.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. It was just it was what it was, Nick.
Ian.
Yeah. It was an emphasis on the E.
On the I?
Yeah, well, the E that the I stands for. It's funny. Back in the day when I worked in Belleville, the restaurant that was right 2 doors down was Coney Island. And the guy who owned it was named Mike. I don't know if he just assumed my
I thought
name.
it was 3 doors down.
No, it's
It was
2
a
doors.
joke.
I got it, but I had to think about it for a second too. I don't know. He would call me Big E. I don't know because he thought my name started with an E. I don't know, but that's what he always called me. Oh, I don't know.
Or because your middle name starts with an E?
He didn't know my middle name.
How do you know that?
I never told him.
Maybe he figured it out when he was like peeking in your bedroom window at night.
I would hope not. That's pretty creepy. Didn't strike me as the type.
No?
No, and when he sold the restaurant, he ended up becoming a cop. So I would hope that he's not that type of cop.
So you're like beating up minorities? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think so.
Poor joke. Okay.
He was a minority himself, so I don't think.
Fine then, Ian.
I don't think that would be. Am I just bringing your jokes down?
I guess so.
I'm not trying to. Maybe your jokes are just weak.
Why would you think that Ian started with an E, though?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what he called me, Big E. And I never really thought about it. I just went along with it.
Do you ever get Ian?
All the time. Ian. I've gotten, well, people have just mispronounced it too. I get, when I was little, I had friends who would just go, Yan, like, because they didn't know how to emphasize the E part, I guess.
Jan?
I don't know. One little girl called me Ann.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling you Ann.
And that is the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Final episode.
Actually, speaking of that, there was a podcast that I really enjoyed. I've listened to for at least the last couple of years. That out of nowhere
Just stop.
Just last week released like a 11-minute episode and basically just said bye.
Really?
Yep.
No reason? Just let it go?
No, they said it was time.
Oh, interesting.
Which kind of sucked because it was probably it was one of the few ones I've listened to.
Stuck with. Yeah. There was two that the two that got me started listening to podcasts was Horror Etc. and the Splattercast.
Yeah.
And they're both defunct now. But I don't remember them giving any warning. They just Horror Etc. kind of did.
They just stopped.
The Splattercast just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. But
Yeah.
So we have a topic this week.
We do. We generally have a topic.
We're going to talk about something that Ian really
Is passionate
is
about.
passionate about.
Well, passionately angry about.
and
Kinda.
that's male strippers. No.
I thought we were talking about that next week.
So
I didn't come prepared for that.
So
one.
last week we kind of had a heavier topic. So this week we're going to try to keep it a little lighter
But yeah,
And
it's definitely not a.
and
Not
talk
as
about
heavy-
corpses. No, I'm just joking.
Corpses. Again, not this week. I'm not prepared for that. Show.
Cannibal corpses.
Oh God. Awesome album covers. If you like horror movies and like zombie stuff, they have really
their
good
music
album
was
covers.
not good.
Their music is not good. It's growly.
Yeah, growly. It's actually a really good way to
Because that's
describe
what
it.
the singer does. He just growls. He's you don't know what the fuck he's saying. He's just so, and I know that because I bought one of their albums based solely on the cover.
Yeah. Maybe he's like reading Bible verses and you just can't.
Maybe. I don't know, but the album cover was really cool because the album was called "Eaten Back to Life," and it was a pretty much mostly decayed zombie eating his own intestines.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool when I was like 12.
That was a
But
long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but the music does not live up to that. What I anticipated, or maybe
No.
it does, and I was naive.
I think that's one of the things, not to get off on a music tangent, but I think that's one of the things that we've lost is during this whole like MP3 digital revolution is the art of album work.
Yeah.
Of album artwork.
I totally 100% agree.
And I'm talking like packaging, everything. I know Tools tried to do that with Fear Inoculum, you know, and some other issues that they've had in the past.
They're doing like kind of like gimmicky stuff though. I mean just
But
just
it's
the
just-
just the artwork itself.
Yeah.
It's still.
But I'm talking about like the whole package.
Right. Well, yeah, making it a
something other than just the music.
Right. Yeah, that definitely has been missing, and they are doing that. But I even just the artwork itself is sorely lacking.
Oh yeah. Because for 40 years it was the
selling point.
It was part. Yeah, that's
part of the selling point.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted something that was going to catch your eye when you're walking by.
And generally speaking, it had something to do with not necessarily like a concept, but an overall musical theme.
Yeah.
To a degree, at least with the band, the theme of the band.
I don't know though. Now that I think about it, I feel like.
Well, Led Zeppelin, their first two album covers had Zeppelins in it, even though they were the first one's very broad and the second one's very muted.
Yeah.
But it's still there. It's
well,
thematic.
because the first thing that popped into my head was like Appetite for Destruction, which I guess
isn't thematically necessary.
If you take the rape scene, the original cover, that was the name of the piece of artwork,
right?
Was Appetite for Destruction. So if you think of like the skull and cross, obviously that doesn't have anything to do with it.
No, but it does. It does have
Lies has is a
newspaper. Yeah.
And then Use Your Illusion. I don't know what the artwork was supposed to reference there, but
yeah,
that was like the first band that popped into my head.
But with the Use Your Illusion, there's a not a concept, but a theme, musical theme, even if it's just in the sound of those two albums that work.
Well, I'm talking about like the artwork though. There's no art. The artwork of the album doesn't really have anything to do with the theme of the album or anything.
Not necessarily, but they're inextricably connected now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it works on that level.
Yeah. Whereas
most album covers coming out in the mid 2000s and even the late 90s was just like a picture of the artist.
Yeah, which I was never a huge fan of.
No, I mean you can get away with that once, maybe twice, but throw some creativity in there. Put a different background or something on there,
or them all just high-fiving each other.
That's I know, I know, but see that works.
I know.
Because it's it just for that time it worked.
I don't know. Just thinking about it was just something I thought about real quick. But
I mean, I may be saying that from a biased perspective because I love that album, but it works.
But now that I think about it, though, there's a lot of those albums in the '90s, though. Even though you say it's just a picture of the band, there's a lot of them that aren't, and it's like.
Well, I meant late '90s, early '90s, not so much. They were still doing, album artwork still was a thing, but I'll tell you, like late '90s, early 2000s, really is when it started to get away from it.
I guess. But that's also where we moved on to.
We were starting to move to digital.
Yeah. So it kind of lost that. Plus, I feel like a lot of music in the very late 90s has that very mass-produced feel.
Yeah.
And it probably has something to do with it also.
Yeah, I can see that. For sure. But that's not what our topic is.
No,
today.
Our topic is not. Our topic is toxic fandom.
Yes.
And which is something that has been going on for a while now.
Right. But it's exploded now.
And I think social media has a big part in it.
It does, because we were even talking about it before. Because I can cite, as I said to you, a reference to what I would classify as a similar type of fandom going back to the 70s with Doctor Who.
Well,
and then even into the 80s.
I think
specifically
go back
in the
to
80s.
In the 80s, 70s, and 80s, you can look at a lot of hate mail. Well, they just called it hate mail then.
Right. But it was smaller level because you actually had to put pen to paper and post it. You had to mail it. Sorry about being on the table. You had to actually mail it out to the people. You couldn't just turn on your phone camera and make a video and post it on YouTube like you can now.
Yeah.
But what bothers me the most about it is these are people who claim to be fans of these things, and it is kind of relegated to the genre franchises specifically. Star Wars being the biggest example, as we were talking about earlier.
I would say it even goes further than that, though. I think you see a lot of that in music now too.
Well,
with bands and artists.
My experience with that is limited. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watch a lot of YouTube based, fan reviews and speculations on shows and movies and stuff. I don't do it with music. I can be a lot more flexible with movies and television than I can be with music. I'm a lot more rigid. So
We've noticed that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not as rigid as I used to be, and I would say I'm not anywhere near as rigid as a lot of people are.
Oh, that's true. And those are a lot of those people, the ones I'm talking
as
about.
rigid as I am, I mean, if you look at the list of artists that I listen to on a fairly regular basis, it's very broad. But that's still being relatively rigid. With movies and stuff, I can be a lot more flexible. So, and it's easier to speculate because you're speculating about stories, you're speculating about character development, things of that nature. So I don't mind watching those videos. I don't even mind a spoiler video here and there. But what you see, when it does come to specifically the genre stuff, Star Wars, what I'm seeing now is this level of hatred that happens before something even is released.
Yeah.
Based solely on rumors and speculation.
The Last Jedi is a perfect example.
Perfect example. And actually that was, as a result of Last Jedi, it was the speculation that went towards the next movie, which was Solo. I think Solo really suffered as a result of that. Because Solo, for what it's
worth,
was
like open boycotts.
Open boycotts, exactly. And that's not healthy.
Yeah. And they weren't open boycotts from people that had like, it's an animal rights group boycotting something like that. These were fans that were upset at the direction of the franchise that were boycotting something that they had supported for 30 plus years.
And I get it. To some degree, they feel an ownership of it.
But they don't.
They don't have it. They feel it, but they don't have it. I get that. A perfect example of where it goes too far, and I mean it's gone too far. I mean that's a perfect example too. But I'm going to take you back to the '80s, the late '80s, with Doctor Who. Their ratings were dropping. The show had been on the air for 25 years. Okay, and I get it, but you had openly all these fans criticizing it for being too much the same or too different, all at the same fucking time. And the more people complained, the less people watched.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they would just not watch it based solely on how much the complaining was going on. The open letters, because all these complaints were getting broadcast on talk shows. There's actually a video of a talk show from 1986 where they were discussing Doctor Who. And they had members of the fan club on the show, one of which was Chris Chibnall. And he's 17, 18 years old. This Chris Chibnall went on to become a screenwriter. He's written tons of good stuff. But he was talking about how it's just the clip they always show is him talking about how it's just the Doctor and his companion running down hallways all the time. Which, yeah, he's running there. They do that. You run away from danger.
Yeah.
If you can't fight the danger, you run away from danger. It's even become a running joke in the new Who. Run. It's big. Okay. So now, ironically, he is now the showrunner for Doctor Who. And for what it's worth, I like what he's doing. He's trying to change it up. He's trying to do it differently. But now he's getting the backlash, too.
Oh, of course.
He was the one who introduces a female doctor, which is hugely panned. Which
they kind of moved on from a lot of that, though.
Only because of what he's done on the show as far as story-wise.
Yeah.
Because I even said that. He did some things with this last season that changed things up that it's like, at least they're not bitching because she's a woman anymore.
Yeah.
But as a result, I'm watching these videos. Aside from that was more of an ironic thing. But I'm watching these videos. There's a YouTube channel, and I'm going to call them out because I don't give a shit, called the Who Addicts. And I don't know if they're a couple or what, but it's a guy and a girl. And when Jodie Whittaker was announced as the Doctor, they were all excited about it. Ever since she premiered, she's been 2 seasons, 3 years. All they've done is bitch about how she's too goofy and she uses her sonic screwdriver too much. She doesn't use her sonic screwdriver any more than the last 5 Doctors, and she's no more goofier than the last 2 Doctors.
Yeah.
So what are they really bitching about?
I will preface all this by saying I don't have a fucking idea what any of you are talking about, but because I've never seen any of it. But
well, no, you don't have to. I'm trying not.
I know.
I'm not bringing in any deep cuts here, but think of the sonic screwdriver as like a wand, a science wand, whatever. Okay, and that's the best I can describe it. But it's a scanner. That's all. It's just a scanner. But that's their biggest complaint. They bitch about she's too goofy and she uses the sonic too much. No more than any other Doctor. So why are they complaining about her doing this too much? There's
because
no
that's what
reason.
the fashionable thing is to do in entertainment now.
But like I said, these are the same people who went like ape shit excited over the fact that there was this female doctor. So it makes me wonder, why are they bitching about this? On a much smaller level, with Star Trek, we've got Star Trek Picard going on right now, which we'll be discussing at a later date.
We're going to look at the first season.
Yeah.
Which I've liked so far. But
yeah, me too. But there's
good. We don't have to do that episode now.
Well, no, I've already got pages of notes for that.
Oh,
so
do you
we're
really?
doing a fucking show.
Wow. Ian will actually have notes.
I have bullet points for the first 5 episodes already. So with this show, with this other site, nowhere near that level. But some of their complaints, and they're very middle ground. Their criticisms have been, for the most part, you can see where they're coming from. It's not toxic at all.
Which I'm fine with that.
Which I'm fine. Me too. The site's called Trek Yards.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very. They've been very even keel with it. But some of their complaints, it's like they were criticizing this last episode. Did you watch it?
What I did.
2 days ago.
Yeah. Episode 9.
Yes, episode 9. They were complaining about the ship crashing and how it was still intact.
Well,
I can count at least 20 episodes of old Trek where that exact same thing happened.
I know.
And
I don't know.
And these guys are like classic Trek.
I had more of an issue with that in the last Star Wars movie than I did with that.
With the Falcon. Because we're going to get to that too. Because you know more about that anyway. But it's like, why are you calling these things out? And even beyond that, because I watch a lot of these videos, all the suggestions on YouTube are about these shows. And the headlines are, Star Trek is dead. Doctor Who killed by Chris Chibnall.
See, I think a lot of people...
it's not them who's killing it. It's you who's killing it.
I think a lot of that is, or I wouldn't say a lot, there's a certain percentage of that is just people trying to get a click or get a view. Or
right.
I would say the more devious part of all this is what goes on online as far as like messaging and social media. When you have Ryan Johnson getting death threats online,
right?
Because of
Chris Chibnall has to, I think,
and Kelly Marie Tran had to delete all her social media sites because
Daisy Ridley got off it too.
Yeah, well, there was. She said she had to get off it because there was months and months of just racist and sexist messages to her constantly,
right?
Like thousands a day,
right? And we're talking about,
or thousands a week, whatever.
This, for what it's worth, I love this stuff. But it's fiction, people.
Yeah, but it's
entertainment.
It's kind of the same point I was trying to make with music. It's the point now where if I know you won't have this with smaller bands, but if you take like big, gigantic stars now, take Ariana Grande or something like that. If you criticize anything, any part of their music, you will feel the wrath of thousands upon thousands.
I've
of
heard
people.
stories of the Beliebers going after people who've criticized him.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. It's because Justin Bieber, at least now, does not have anywhere near the following that he did before.
Back in the day, though, I remember there being stories.
But it's like Ariana Grande, Beyonce, people like that.
But see, that's kind of
Chris Brown even has a big following that has that will attack critics and things like that online.
But see, that's kind of the reverse. Whereas
it's not, because it's like,
well, I mean, it is, because they're defending, whereas the toxic is challenging.
But if you it's toxic for a critic, because a critic or anyone cannot criticize any part of their music without severe backlash from thousands of people. It's the same thing.
Right. And what I'm talking about is these artists can't do anything. These filmmakers, these writers can't do anything without getting that backlash. Kelly Marie Tran couldn't act in a fucking movie without getting this backlash.
Yeah.
And I don't care what her nationality is or whatever. If the character was written bad, yeah, I'll say it. Her character wasn't written bad.
No, I thought she did a great job.
She was a good character. Her character was put in a bad situation, or poorly written situation. I don't
even that poorly written, but
the whole Canto Bite thing was stupid.
Yeah.
Her motivations and the way she portrayed it was fine and excellent. But yeah, I don't. It's the same coin, just two different sides there. And what I was going to say about the '80s with Doctor Who is, all of that just led to them canceling Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And canceling Doctor Who at a point when it was actually starting to improve, because it did have
It was the same thing with Star Wars. They do Solo. There's such a huge backlash, and people didn't go see it.
Right.
But they canceled the rest of the standalone movies.
Right. Well, I guess there's some benefit. We're getting the one standalone that was supposed to be next as a TV show, but
still,
theoretically, and even that's having problems now. But for what it's worth, you're right though. It's this cancel culture for specific things, and I keep thinking when I'm hearing these YouTubers and reading these articles, I'm thinking, if you don't like it, fine, that's great.
Yeah.
You can tell me you don't like it, but don't be so fucking harsh about it, and don't make 15 videos about it.
A lot of people, I think, a lot of those
The
people
biggest
are
thing
just doing it
for
because
clickbait.
Exactly, because
You're right.
they'll get the views and they can make money off
like
it.
I said, they make 15.
The bigger
videos
issue
about
I
it.
have is with the personal attacks on people.
Oh
online.
yeah. I'm just looking at it from the fandom, because you're right. That's nasty, and that shouldn't exist at all. But I'm looking at it from a fan's perspective. If you don't like it, then don't watch it.
Yeah.
And if your opinion is right, then no one else will watch it either, and it'll go away.
Yeah.
But don't try to cancel it before it even has a chance. It's not even done.
But here's the thing, though. Where is and maybe it's going on. I'm just not seeing it. Where are the studios coming out against us?
Well, they
where are the
can't.
actors coming out against it?
Well, the actors sometimes do.
Where are the labels? Where's the artists coming out against it? They're not.
They're not.
They're not.
For the most part, because they're going to get the same backlash regardless. And I get that to some degree. You don't, if you're CBS, you don't want to come out and tell these people that they're being stupid.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them are. They're being fucking
Absolutely.
stupid. And because then they're like, oh, look, CBS doesn't care about us. And I see that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually watched a video the other day where it specifically said CBS does not care about Star Trek fans.
I'm going to tell you right now, CBS doesn't.
No.
Why would they?
They
don't
care
give a
about
shit.
Star Trek because it makes the money.
Exactly.
They don't. Yeah, they're not.
If you think a studio or a movie franchise or a network should give a rat's ass about you, you are fucking dumb.
Right. Well, I think they should have some concern for their audience. They want an audience.
Just because they want a good product out. That's what they care about. They want a
money-making product. They don't really care about how good it is, as long as it makes money.
That's kind of what it all goes together.
Right.
You put out a good product, people will watch it, you can make money off it.
Right.
That's it. In a nutshell, boom, that's it.
Yeah. But the problem is I feel that a lot of this toxic fandom turns people off of even giving things a chance.
Oh, absolutely.
And Solo is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, because I thought it was a really good movie.
I did too. I mean, it's not perfect.
No.
But it's an enjoyable 2-hour film. It doesn't do anything to hurt the canon, the story that's already established.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it adds to it. You get some great performances from Donald Glover.
Mm-hmm. I thought the guy playing Han Solo did really well too.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't great, but he's passable.
Yeah.
And just a good story. It was fun. It's a fun.
When I go to a Star Wars movie, I know I'm not watching an Academy Award winner.
No, well, you could theoretically. There's no reason you shouldn't think
those
that.
movies don't win Academy Awards.
No, but there's no reason they shouldn't if they're done the right way.
Okay,
and there have been performances.
What I'm saying though is I'm going to watch those movies for a good story.
Yeah, a good story and 2
movie.
hours of enjoyment.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to be fair, there's been some performances within Star Wars that are, I would say, Oscar worthy.
Yeah,
but they're not as. You're right. It's not. You don't. Those aren't Oscar movies.
Yeah.
They are for the special effects. Star Wars movies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or at least are always nominated. But yeah, Solo really truly suffered, and I think as a result, now what we could have gotten, Solo was really just one part of a larger story that they wanted to tell.
Absolutely.
There was more of that story that should have gone on. We're not going to get it now.
No, we're not going to.
And if we do, it's going to be in other areas of Star Wars, and it's going to be, changed, which is fine. I don't care as long as the story's good.
Because they
ultimately
left big questions
at the end of that movie. Yeah. So, as a result, now people who wouldn't have seen it or would have maybe gone to see it didn't go see it.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit the studio made a mistake by releasing it in the summer. They should have released it in the winter.
In the winter.
Because they claimed that December slot with The Force Awakens, and they should have just maintained it.
Yeah, they should have.
But
it probably would have done better.
It would have done better, but it also would have had that many more months of ridicule before it even came out.
Yeah, and they weren't going to release in the spring because that's when Marvel releases their movies.
Right.
Who wants to go up against
when they did release it? It was on either side of Marvel movies. It was Captain Marvel and Avengers: Infinity War. I think it's 2018.
Yeah,
so.
Infinity War.
So there was another mistake. It was competing against its own parent company.
Yeah.
And brother properties.
When you have like $2 billion movies you're going up against, it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt your numbers, no matter who you are, whether you're Star Wars or whatever.
But even outside of Star Wars, you can look at Game of Thrones, where I watched the whole series. I know you haven't seen them, but there was so much hatred in that last season from the media and from fans and everyone else that I think people just didn't even watch it, and it's not how I would have ended it. I still thought it was a good ending to the series.
Right. And I think you're in the minority, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But that doesn't say anything to
but,
me.
But
it turns people off.
But over the course of that series is what got those two guys a job with doing the Star Wars.
Yeah, they were going to do a Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, they were. And part of the reason that they backed out of it was this toxic fandom that exists in and around Star Wars.
Yeah. And it all really started with the prequels.
Yeah. I could only imagine how bad it would be if social media was a huge thing back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because back then you just had like
George Lucas probably wouldn't have finished the trilogy.
Probably not. Well, he would have, but...
He sold Disney as a result of a lot of that.
Yeah.
He sold it to Disney as a result of a lot of that. Because otherwise he would... I mean, he could have done episodes 7, 8, and 9 himself the way he did Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Hands on, but hands off. Because that was his thing. He didn't want to direct anymore. He didn't want to devote all that time. He didn't have to.
No.
Clone Wars is a perfect example of how he could take a step back, let his work be, taken over by somebody else.
Clone Wars were good.
Fantastic. In fact,
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but I've seen enough of them to know that
there's a lot of good stuff going on there. And most of that is not George Lucas.
No.
It's Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
Who's also a producer of The Mandalorian. And he directed a couple episodes, I think. He's in one of them, too. He's one of the...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, the X-Wing fighter. But anyway, just a cameo. But as a result of Dave Filoni, Clone Wars, in many ways, redeems all of the problems with the prequel films as it is.
Mm.
And maybe because those came out in a time when he was still getting the backlash and still getting the hatred, it wasn't as visceral as it is now because of all the social media that we have. As a result, he was able to let that go and let someone else take that and said, okay, this is what I want, but do it. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. Dave Filoni would say, hey, George, can I do this? He'd be like, yeah, do it, whatever. It was basically a hands-off situation. When he wanted notes, he gave notes. That was it. And it improved the overall story of what the prequels were.
Yeah.
If people would shut up about the new trilogy, then we could get that too.
But here's the thing, and I understand the concerns and some of the criticisms of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I do.
But I just went back and watched them within the last couple of months. They're actually better than what I remember them to be.
They're not that bad.
No, they're not.
The acting is a little wooden.
It is.
Especially with Hayden Christensen.
Absolutely.
Even Sam Jackson's a little wooden in those movies. But they're working with dialogue that is written by someone who's not good with dialogue.
Yeah. But still, even besides all that, they're still good movies.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch.
They are what they are.
Yes.
And that's why and this whole toxic bullshit that goes around with it. And that's why I said, even with it branches out into music and with everything else, it's like, what is the point? What are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
Attacking.
If you're just out to kill these properties, they're gone. That's it.
Yeah.
Then what do you have to bitch about?
Them being gone.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then
who do you have to blame for that?
and that's
The studio.
The Doctor,
because it's all the studio's fault.
And to me, that's the Doctor Who conundrum right there. That is exactly what I was trying to get at with the cancellation in 1989 of Doctor Who. Because as soon as it was gone, everyone fucking wanted it back.
Yeah.
All those people who bitched about it and stopped watching it, as soon as it was gone, they were like, "Oh man, I miss my Doctor Who."
Yeah.
You know, and they had 16 years of nothing except for one TV movie, which is all right. But that was only because the U.S. was trying to take over. It was a U.S.-British co-production.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Filmed in Canada. Written by somebody who really didn't know Doctor Who that well.
Well,
but,
Canada's part of the
UK.
The UK.
Yeah.
We do. You break the mic stand?
No, it just needs to be tightened up.
Well, so tighten the damn thing.
No, we'll just finish the show.
Oh
It'll
my
be
God!
fine.
Yeah, he's talking and his fucking mic falls off. And
It won't fall off. It's fine. See. Anyway, but that was my point. They killed it and then bitched because it was gone for 16 years. And then when it came back, you would think it was the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
And for 5 years, 6 years, they treated it that way. And then they're like, I'm bored with this now.
With it. Now let's,
I don't like what they're doing with it now. Even though if you're telling a story over the course of now 12 seasons, things you have to do to keep those stories interesting sometimes requires you to change things up. Like make a female doctor.
But look at the way they attacked The Force Awakens.
For being too much
like
the same.
A New Hope.
And then attacking Last Jedi, the very next movie, for being completely different.
Exactly. Because the first movie was too much like the original trilogy. And the next movie was too far off.
Yep.
It was too different.
Exactly. It's like you can't make these people fucking happy.
No.
But the problem is they're so vocal. And they are a minority.
But they're vocal enough to affect the bottom line.
Exactly. Which means you're eventually going to have nothing. So my advice is if you don't
stop watching YouTube. My advice is stop watching YouTube.
Well, sometimes that's all there is to watch. But then again, I don't have to watch those videos. And believe me, I usually can get about halfway through some of them and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore.
I can't, I probably watch 3 YouTube videos a month.
I probably watched 15 between the time I got home from work and the time I fell asleep this morning.
And those 3 are typically channel 33 RPM.
I watch a lot of things like that too.
His channel's really good. If you're a record fan.
Yeah, there's a lot of good record channels on YouTube. Yeah. Even some of their these artists or these YouTubers will do ranking videos just on specific artists. There's one guy, I forgot his name, but he'll just pick an artist and just rank all their albums. Yeah. His opinion, and he's very non-biased about it. He's really good. I like watching that. I like reaction videos to songs too.
Those are really good.
Yeah, there's a couple that I've watched that are these guys who just react to progressive rock.
Oh, like the black guys that
yeah, they're the two that I'm talking about are both black guys. I didn't think that had any bearing on it, but they're both black guys.
No, because we've talked about it on the show before. That's why.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but anyway, yeah, you're right. We did, but I like watching those too because especially when they're really when they pick a good song, and I know I like the song, and when they're reacting to the parts of the song that I really like too, it's like, oh yeah, you get it.
You get it, yeah.
I like watching those too, but that's kind of a tangent.
So I was going to say real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's I was watching. So when I was preparing for this episode, I did watch a couple of YouTube videos about toxic fandom, and one was like a top 10 list of the most toxic
sites or video channels
or artists that have the most toxic fans and franchises that have the most toxic fans and things like that. And just for shits and giggles, I clicked on the comments, and it was the most disgusting things you could ever imagine on the internet were in the comment section of this. But he even said that in the video. He's like, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off.
Right.
He's like, if you want a good time, read the comments.
So that basically he was just listing all these franchises and artists.
Well, franchises and artists.
So say Star Wars.
Yeah, because he talked about Star Wars. He talked about Game of Thrones, and then he was also talking about Ariana Grande and I don't remember the other musicians he talked about. Chris Brown, I guess, has a big following still, even though he beats the shit out of women.
Well, R. Kelly has a big following. He pees on them.
I know, but Chris
And
Brown
underage
also pulled guns on people and
Yeah.
not a really good guy.
Right.
So,
Well, it's the world we live in. It's okay.
R. Kelly still doesn't have a music career. Chris Brown does.
Right. Fair enough. And then, so take Star Wars, and then they were like bitching because he was calling them out for being toxic.
Yeah.
But they are. I mean, not all of them, but the vast majority of them are.
Yeah. But how do you curb it?
You can't. There's absolutely nothing you can do, because as a result, and this is when it started to dawn on me. I noticed it talking to people at work, or just kind of overhearing conversations after The Last Jedi came out.
Which I was not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I know. You didn't like it.
I thought it was a good movie. No, I didn't. I did like it. I thought it was a good movie.
Right.
There was like 3 or 4 really big issues I had with it, but whatever.
Right, fair enough. And we've talked about that on the show too.
Yeah, we had a whole episode.
And to be fair, I had a few. I liked Rise of Skywalker, but I had a few issues with it. And we, and it was kind of the reverse, where I really liked The Last Jedi, and you were like, "It's good," but I got some issues. And then
I really liked
Rise of Skywalker.
I really thought Rise of Skywalker was going to be shit, and I thought it was a really good movie.
The digital came out this past week.
Yeah,
I got it, and I watched it again. Now this is my third time watching it. I liked it a little bit better watching it on the third go round. So for what it's worth, but anyway, listening to people talk about it at work, and on two separate occasions, I overheard conversations, and I kind of butted in, but not rudely, to both of them. They were like, oh, it was when Last Jedi was coming out, and it was out, and they were like, man, I don't want to see this. Disney's ruined Star Wars. And I was like,
how?
I said, did you like Rogue One? Yeah, Rogue One was pretty good. So how did they ruin it? Well, I just hear that The Last Jedi is terrible. Like, well, at this point, I was like, well, I saw it, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Disney's just fucking it up.
These
are not their opinions. They're echoing the opinions.
They're regurgitating other people's opinions. Yes,
they were hearing and that was two separate people on two separate occasions.
Yeah.
That aren't even connected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one was a nurse and one was a badger.
Yeah.
So it's like a
badger, like the animal,
right?
It was a guest services associate.
It's just I just picture
because people at home are like, he's talking to a fucking badger,
right? No, and it's funny because ironically there was a live DVD, a Jethro Tull DVD, and it was like kind of like clips of just parts of the interviews, and Jonathan Noyce, the bass player, it was just cut to him, and he goes, "A room full of dwarfs and a dead badger," and I'm like, and it had no context whatsoever. Nice. I'm like. Okay. Anyway, that's what made me think of that. You made me think of that when you brought badgers. But yeah, so two separate people that don't really interact with each other. And I'm just like, and even after the fact, I had other conversations with other people at work and about similar things and who had seen Last Jedi and didn't like it. And I was like, and it's funny because the ones who had seen it and didn't like it weren't as vocal about how much they didn't like it. They were just like, yeah, I just didn't like it. Whereas the people who hadn't seen it were like, I heard it sucked, and they're like really vocal about it. And as much as you can blame them for saying those things, it's not their ideas. They're getting those ideas from somebody else.
Yeah.
And like you said, it affects the bottom line. It's one thing to not like something. It's perfectly acceptable. You can't please everybody. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Say, yeah, it just wasn't for me.
At least see it and have your own opinion.
Right. And don't try to tell people not to see something.
Yeah.
Or put information out there that says this show is dead. This show's been killed. Everything I love about this is dead. I mean, these are the clickbait headlines you see all the fucking time.
Because that's all it is. That's just clickbait. That's all it is.
But it works because you get enough likes on that, and they get picked up by actual, media. Where you got like, it's all social media based, but I would call them bigger media, like Cinema Blend or Collider or Dread Central or Bloody Disgusting. These are websites that have existed for 20 years.
Yeah.
and actually have some pull in media. And they get picked up by those news sources where people are going on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're feeding into that. Because that's what big media does. They pick up on little shit and blow it out of proportion. We see it with everything. So, well, I guess ultimately when I brought up the idea of this topic, I was so angry by the fact that these people who claim to want more of this stuff are the ones who are destroying it. It's not Disney buying Star Wars that's destroying Star Wars. It's the fucking fans.
Yeah, and another part that plays into it is people that don't understand what's going on with these small but vocal sections of a fan base, and because it is so vocal, that's all they're listening to, and they're buying into it.
Right.
Instead of actually going out and seeing it for themselves to see what it really is.
Yeah. I've always said critics in general should not be a critic giving a bad review of something should not be a determining factor on how many people go see it.
Oh yeah. There's been lots of things I've gone and see that
critics have panned. And I was thinking back to
and I've seen lots of things that critics love and I thought was shit.
Exactly. But you gave it your own chance. You gave it your own view.
Yeah.
And I think back in the day, that was more prevalent. In the 70s, that would have been more prevalent. Because back in the 70s, to be a music critic was huge.
Yeah.
And I've looked at reviews for albums that I love from the 70s. And these critics were scathing.
Oh, yeah.
Scathing reviews on these albums. It's like, are you insane? I'm thinking that, but it didn't affect anything.
No.
A lot of these albums were huge hits.
Yeah.
Regardless of these critics.
Yeah, well, because the critics didn't have such a loud voice. Because there wasn't something like the internet and social media that can circulate. You can put out something that's complete bullshit and false, and it can spread like wildfire.
Right.
Across social media.
As we were pointing out, yeah. But to be fair, the equivalent of the time was print media. Rolling Stone was selling. I mean, millions of people were reading Rolling Stone.
But
so
a lot of times, especially if an album is wildly popular, a lot of those people have listened to it before they read that review.
That's true. Because to be fair, I'm thinking of albums like specifically the first Black Sabbath album.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a single critic who gave that a good review.
No, I know.
Yet I love that album.
It's a great album.
And that album spawned more albums. It spanned a 50-year career for 4 guys.
Yeah.
So, for what it's worth, those are critics. None of those critics liked it, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Their opinion was out there, and everyone else had the right to make their own opinion. Well, now you're almost challenged if you have your own opinion on stuff.
I think there's 2 ways, at least, you can look at the album aspect of it. You either have a lot of people that have listened to it before they read the review, or the album is released. It's hated on by critics, but then there's a long period before people really listen to it and catch on to it.
So the critic review is gone too. Yeah. Whereas with now,
or they've never heard of it. They read the reviewer and they're like, whatever, and then somehow they stumble across it, 6-8 months later,
and buy it because of the album cover or something, and don't even remember.
Exactly.
But the thing is that can't happen now.
No,
because you've got iTunes where you can review it, 5-star review.
Yeah.
Leave your feedback here.
See, but speaking of that, though, that's also a big problem that they had with The Last Jedi, is you had all these people that were going on to a site like Rotten Tomatoes,
right,
and just bashing it.
Yep.
And what they're doing is they drive down the audience score.
Right. And it's funny because the critic score was really high for Last Jedi, but the audience score was really low
because of those people. Whereas Rise of Skywalker, it was the reverse. Yeah.
So it's like, but not to the same degree. It was reversed, but nowhere near the same degree because Rise of Skywalker still had its hatred. But it goes to show you what, if you really want to continually criticize things for being different, like The Last Jedi, what you're going to get is you're going to get a studio that says, okay, Well, let's just go back to the drawing board, because that's what Rise of Skywalker was.
Yeah.
It was a back to the drawing board, and that's why I have an issue with it. It's a movie it's lacking in elaboration. That's been my argument.
Well, I think
novel
to a certain extent, it almost had to be though, because I think they screwed up. I think with The Last Jedi, and I felt like with The Rise of Skywalker, they were trying to go back and kind of massage some of the issues that existed,
but only with the fans.
Exactly. Yeah.
With that toxic group.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say only, because I had issues with the with The Last Jedi that I feel like they fixed with the.
There's a couple,
and I'm not part of the toxic fandom.
No, you're not. No, and like I said, we've had discussions about that, and I don't necessarily disagree with some of your complaints of The Last Jedi. They don't bother me as much, and equally, I don't think the things that bother me on The Rise of Skywalker bother you as much. But here's the thing. I think if The Last Jedi had come out as it is and had been a huge success, both critically and critically it was, financially it was, but as big of a success with the fans.
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9.
Maybe, yeah.
And it wouldn't have been billed as the final Skywalker film. Mm. Because there's no reason it had to be the final Skywalker film. Yeah. Especially if you look at the way it ended. Mm. So, because she is a Skywalker at the end, spoiler alert, yeah. She takes the name Skywalker.
The movie came out, along,
5 months ago, and it's available on digital, so you can buy it now. So I'm not really spoiling anything. But she takes the name of Skywalker. That's the whole point. So how is it the end of the Skywalker saga when she's very much alive and can very well carry on the story?
No, I get it.
So even going with, which Colin Trevorrow's story was different anyway, his first draft script leaked.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, and I don't know if I would say leaked. It was out. It was let out.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of good stuff in it. I think it would have been a fantastic film. I think it would have been better than what we got as The Rise of Skywalker. To be fair, but that's also saying from a first draft, a lot of things might have been changed, and it might have been 10 times worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's the kind of open-mindedness that people need to apply to this shit.
No, I get it, and I don't want this to be a Star Trek thing. I mean, I've been using The Last Jedi just because I think it's the most glaring international example of
right.
toxic
and
fandom.
Star Wars is
the effect that toxic fandom can have on a movie franchise.
Yeah,
because it changed the trajectory of the franchise.
But the same thing is said for Star Trek and Doctor Who, Game of Thrones. HBO had 2 spin-offs planned. They cut it down to 1. I wonder why. Yeah. Now, granted, it could be the cost, but maybe the cost would have been more worth it if the season 8 of Game of Thrones had done better. Yeah.
I just think it's funny that I don't know. It just there's so many franchises out there. If you stick with the movie and TV aspect of it, that have been around for a long time that don't seem to have these same issues.
Like what? Now, and I was going to bring up Marvel. Marvel seems to be the example of something that...
There was a lot towards Black Panther and Captain Marvel.
But it was mostly sexist and racist stuff.
Yes.
See, I don't count that because no one's listening to that.
I know.
It's out there.
But it was out there. And actually, Black Panther's Rotten Tomatoes score was driven down because of that.
But see, that's an example of people going the right way, saying, "Okay, fine, you don't like it, great. I'm going to go see this movie because it looks fantastic."
I think for the most part, there for 10 years, Marvel could pretty much put out anything, and it was going to do.
Well, I was going to say
$1 billion.
I was going to say,
or
Marvel hasn't hit the toxic phase yet.
Yeah.
That's the most they've gotten, and that's even more than I was even thinking because I wasn't counting that kind of shit. If that's the most they've gotten, they're in for a rude awakening. I have a feeling Phase 4 is going to be a turning point for them.
Because you know what, when it comes to toxic fandom, maybe the worst are probably fucking comic book fans.
and there's a lot of overlap on all the ones we've been talking about.
The way that comic book fans attack any kind of change,
right,
in the storyline.
Yeah, but they've pretty much focused all of their anger towards the DC side of things. I mean, granted, I don't watch a lot of Marvel videos on YouTube. I've watched a fair number, but nowhere near what I watch on the other stuff.
Yeah,
because I'm a Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who guy. That's my bread and butter. So that's the stuff I kind of focus on. So I haven't seen any real toxic stuff towards any of the Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's coming. It will come eventually.
Eventually.
And when it does, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty at all.
No. Because like I said,
and I have a feeling it's going to come with
comic
this
book fans are terrible.
I think it's going to come with this next phase.
And I don't know, because there has been a lot of backlash against Marvel movies from comic book fans.
I remember there being some early on.
Every single movie has had a lot of criticism.
I don't hear
because,
it. But then again, like I said, I don't watch those videos.
I don't watch any of the videos either. It's shit I read online about it. Because of it being too far away from the comic books.
Right.
Because you've got a storyline or a character that's had a series of storylines for 50 plus years.
Well, to be fair, I guess I am aware of that when it comes to the X-Men films.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed it with the MCU stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
it's definitely there. And
but it's
not like I said, it's not as vocal or as destructive as Star Wars fans
not yet
have been.
But I think it will be. I really do.
We'll see if it gets to that level.
I think Phase 4 is going to be a turning point.
We'll see.
Because it
all depends on the quality of film they put out.
Aside from Black Widow and Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange barely falls into this category, you've got all new stuff. You don't have any of the classics. Mm. So you're already going into unknown territory.
Which I think can play in their favor. But
right. Oh wait, was Black Panther 2 listed on there?
No, not in Phase 4.
Okay. And I think Shang-Chi is going to be up in the air. I actually think Black Widow, if it gets released, because it was due to come out this month, wasn't it, or next month?
I thought it was May.
Oh, maybe it's May.
It
hasn't been backed up or canceled yet, so because of Rona.
The Rona.
See last week's episode for more details.
Or if you can't figure that out.
Right. So anyway, sorry, as of recording this, I haven't heard anything about that being backed up. Mm. But it's the first. I guess it's not the first. It's the second time you've got the female-led storyline. Mm. What Black Widow has in her favor is the fact that she's been there for a long time. She's a well-known character.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the fans respond to this.
By the way, online they have Black Widow's release date to be TBD now.
Oh, do they? Okay. Shit.
Or TBA.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, Phase 4 is going to be Black coughing around the Rona.
Yeah,
Phase 4 is Black Widow, The Eternals, Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange, another Spider-Man, and the last Thor movie. Or the next
Thor. I forgot about that. But see, that's also going to be an interesting one because they're changing up Thor.
And all those, by the way, are in the next year and a half.
Yeah, well,
theoretically,
because there's no way that the Disney's going to scrap those to streaming without getting theatrical releases.
No,
there's no way. They might do that with some of their stuff because they shortened the theatrical run of Onward,
which you can buy for $20 online now.
Right, but it's way early.
Yeah. No, yeah, because it wouldn't have made it available for months still.
Right. So they're not going to risk their MCU for that.
Yeah, they got 4 movies coming out next year.
Huh.
Shang-Chi in February, Doctor Strange in May, Spider-Man in July, and then Thor in November, and then Black Panther 2 is going to be 2022.
No, and that's starting Phase 5?
I would assume so.
Don't they have an Avengers movie?
It says unannounced phase right now.
Oh, okay.
So it could be Phase 4.
Because they don't start a new phase until after an Avengers movie.
That's not true. The last phase ended with Spider-Man.
Well, yeah.
Phase 2 ended with Ant-Man.
I thought Phase 2 ended with Avengers.
Nope. It was Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, and then Phase 3 started with Captain America: Civil War.
Oh, Interesting. For some reason, I always thought they just ended with the...
Nope.
Because Phase 1 ended with Avengers.
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, because Phase 1 was just the origin stories of all the different characters.
Right. Leading up to
Which is
first...
how you're supposed to do it, DC.
DC. Thank you. Yes. I think DC's scrapping that. Because they're talking about releasing Wonder Woman just direct to streaming.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which...
That'd be really surprising. I don't see them doing that.
I don't know. I mean, that's a big loss for them if they do that. However, but see, DC is another example of the toxic fandom. Batman v Superman was not bad, and if you watched, if they had been smart and released the director's cut, even though it's 3 fucking hours long, to the theaters,
yeah, it's a better movie.
It's a better movie.
It is a better movie.
It makes more sense.
And
but people were shitting on that movie before it even came out. They were shitting on Ben Affleck before he even.
Yeah. I thought he was a really good Batman.
I know. I think so too.
Yeah.
Because the people shit on him so much is why we're not getting him as a Batman in his own fucking movie.
Exactly. And I think that would have been a really good movie.
Me too. Now I'm open minded about what's coming, but again, I'm open minded about everything until I see it. When it comes to movies and music, I usually am. Maybe more so with movies. I am. No, when it comes to that shit.
By the way, Wonder Woman is still slated to be released June 5th.
Is it? Well, I read an article where they were talking about possibly releasing it.
I don't see them doing that.
Do you really think the theaters will be open by June? Well, that's only 3 months away.
Oh, yeah.
Not even 3 months away.
It could be.
I don't know. I don't see it happening.
Hopefully we have open back.
I don't care. I mean, there's movies I want to see between now and then, but nothing that I'm dying to see. Like, I want to see Wonder Woman.
There's a really big concert that I really want to go to in July that I hope is...
I thought it was August.
July.
The Green Day concert's in August. Oh, you're talking about Roger Waters in July. I don't care. I'm not going to that one. I'm going to the Green Day one.
Theoretically.
If
the Rona hasn't canceled everything.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a refund, I'm assuming, if they do.
And I've got My Chemical Romance in September.
Yeah. That one you might be safe on, maybe. But
maybe.
August is still a little questionable.
We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, it just irritates me because,
It should irritate everyone.
The more you shit on stuff willy-nilly like that, it's gone for everybody, even the people who like it.
Yeah.
And the people who like it, if you just shut your fucking mouths, they can enjoy it and you don't have to fucking watch it.
If you don't like it,
turn
just
it
don't
off.
watch it. Exactly.
If you do not like what you see, don't watch it. There are so many fucking things that you can watch available to you. Practically the whole fucking world is available to you at the touch of a button. Between YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, CBS All Access, Shudder, you can watch anything. If you don't fucking like something, don't fucking watch it. Yeah. And shut your fucking mouth.
Here's the thing. It's fine if you don't like something.
Yeah.
We're not saying that you have to like everything. It's perfectly fine to watch something and not like it. But
don't shit on it.
Your opinion is your opinion. It's
right.
No one else's.
Right.
And if no one's asking you for your opinion, don't share it.
Right. And if you want to share it, be fair about it.
Yeah.
Explain what you don't like about it and move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Don't say people are murdering your fucking childhood. Kevin Smith, who I adore. Kevin Smith.
Is that what he said?
No, he wasn't the one. It was really the South Park guys who did it more. But Kevin Smith did go in on Lucas on the prequels.
Yeah.
In the animated series.
Gotcha.
He had Randall getting his money back from George Lucas and Steven Spielberg for a lot of movies, actually. But anyway, and Kevin Smith he's always been pretty open about the prequels. Yeah. But no, it was the South Park guys. They were like mainly with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Uh-huh.
They did a whole episode where Stan just kept having these like PTSD flashbacks, and in them he sees Indiana Jones literally being raped by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Like,
that's a little out there.
Bent over, ass raped.
That's a little out there.
But that's what they and the story is that they went to see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and even though they saw that movie, what was left behind in their memory is that.
Gotcha.
Was Lucas and Spielberg raping Indiana Jones.
It was a terrible ending to the franchise.
Well, it's still up in the air whether or not he's going to do a fifth one now. It was all ready to go. They were going to start filming it this year.
I know.
But Spielberg said he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Harrison Ford may not do it without Spielberg.
Oh, I doubt he would.
He might. He may have already been contractually obligated to do it.
I'm sure there's some kind of clause in there he can use to get out of it. But
yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Or
Man,
he could just die.
Yeah,
he's
true.
old. He's 80 fucking years old.
That's true. I didn't have anything else to add, though.
No, just like you said, you can express your opinion, but be fair about it, and don't shit on people for liking something you don't like, and vice versa.
And guess what? Hey, I got another thing to say.
Yeah.
If people stop watching these videos, guess what?
They'll go away.
They'll
too.
go away.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If I don't like what I see in a video, I stop watching it. I really.
It sounds like you watch a lot of them, though, Ian.
I do. Well, there's a handful, like I said, that I still watch. That for the most part, I only watch the ones where, even if I disagree with their point of view, they express that point of view strictly as their point of view.
Yeah.
Which
is fine.
And they're generally very middle ground in terms of, I didn't like this episode, or I love this episode. They go back and forth because they take it on an episode by episode basis.
If you're gonna dislike something, at least have reasons why you dislike it.
Right.
Don't just shit on something to shit on it.
Right. And be open to criticism of that idea. Not aggressive criticism, but like you and I went on against each other on Last Jedi. Like I said, I understand what you didn't like about it, but I told you why I didn't have a problem with it. And vice versa
it makes sense.
with Rise of Skywalker. So, there's plenty of room for open discussion and having your opinion. There's no room for fucking aggressive hatred.
No.
Of shit. There's just no place.
And the personal attacks, that's
definitely gonna stop.
You can't do that.
You can't attack an actress just for doing a fucking job.
No. So I mean, that's kind of all I got. I mean, if you're still in isolation, go back and listen to some of our other podcast episodes,
2 or 3 times, each.
But yeah, any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. We're on Twitter at LIGpod, which I need to post more stuff on there, but
yeah, you do.
And we're on Podbean, iTunes. Yeah, we are. What kind of shit is that?
I'm being agreeable, Nick.
Oh, go check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, you will.
And we're on. Fuck. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, just about everywhere else.
Yep.
Here we are. I forgot to do it that time.
Yeah, it wasn't funny when you did it.
Fuck off. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, the niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the car, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement.